Sure.
All right, thank y'all for coming to the working meeting for the 25-26 budget. I wish I could say that it's going to be, bright and clear, but it's going to be pretty plain and Jane, I'll be honest. So once again, our city budget focus is on safety. 80% of our total expenditures is concentrated on safety. And we'll go over those numbers in detail as we normally do. I sit there this afternoon thinking this is the 7th time that I have presented the budget. It's kind of, time flies, I guess, when you're having fun. Step increases.
Oh, was that loud? Did I say that really loud? Oh, sorry.
We saw Brenda's air quotes.
So of course, we do have included in the budget again a step increase effective April of 2026, and it's just one this year. So, and you can tell also the other list of focus that we have in the budget to try to cover all the bases that we can. So. All right, so first of all, we'll take a look at the overall combined preliminary budget. That's for general fund and all special funds. Please keep in mind as we go through these first slides that there will be additional slides further into the presentation that will cover specific highlights of those budget changes more specifically, and to be honest, there's not a lot. So. All right, so take a look at it real quick. Overall combined budget revenues, $36,082,523. It's a little bit less than it was last year or the current year that we're in right now, by about $115,850. Slight decrease there as far as what we're expecting, and overall revenue from all funds combined. So then therefore, the total combined expenditures for the entire year, also a little bit less than what we're sitting at as far as what we budgeted for this year. We will be at $36,082,520.
Where? Number 5?
So the previous slide, we didn't have it, the first one, he said. That one, we didn't.
Our packets are every other page.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
I was wondering why I wasn't making sense like that 3 by 7.
Apologies.
We didn't even have.
Yeah, it's not back
In
in
the
front.
scanner. Yeah, put it every other page instead.
Okay. I mean, well, we can see it, plus we have it on.
I'll be glad to go
You
print it
emailed
out
it
for
to
you,
us.
but it's
That's what I can't question this thing.
it's on your tablet also. I did email that to you. If you have those handy, it'll be in your email there. So the preliminary general fund, we are at $18,966,500. Just a little bit of an increase as far as what we budgeted for this year, $117,450. You can see that taxes pretty much carry that. Unfortunately, the intergovernmental takes a lot of that away, and so it's about 110,000 in licenses and permits carry the increase as far as where we're going to be. We'll go into detail real quick as far as the breakdown on that. So you can see, or try and see, you'll probably see it better there than we can back here. The taxes obviously make up 74% of our general fund budget. So the general fund tax revenue, you can see where the ups and downs are, not a lot of downs. We are kind of relatively flat. Our sales and use tax, as far as what we budgeted for this upcoming year, an increase of $152,500. And so, the overall $204,750 is the increase that we'll have in those categories. So everything else pretty much flat. Local fuel tax flat. And you can see the zeros outside it as far as what generates those numbers. Based on the projections from where we're at, we first started taking a look at it at 6 months, and now that we have 8 months and 9 months in, there's not been a lot of change. So we just got our sales tax numbers yesterday, and and we are relatively flat as far as what we budgeted for. Charges for services, extremely flat. Just a small decrease in the airport, and that is really it. Not a lot of change as far as what we were going to project in revenue next year. License and permits, utility gross receipts. Electricity is costing a lot. So we have an increase of about 100,000 there is what's generating that. So, thanks to Pea River and Alabama Power. Other financing sources, relatively flat. 235, 250, about $15,000 decrease. Primarily, we really try not to have any property damage, so it's we're hoping to have a better year there. What we budgeted for this year, just $10,000, and a little small decrease in our municipal court. Doing better, but still got a long ways to go in our collections there. So general fund expenditures, you can see the ups and downs that we have in departments. Not a lot of swing, one way or the other, but the big one, obviously, and we'll talk about that more in detail, capital outlay. We are not going to have any capital outlay budgeted for this upcoming fiscal year. So hopefully that can change if we have, an extreme increase in our, revenue that's being generated. Or a decrease, significantly in expenses. But these numbers are generated from what each department provided me, and some adjustments that were needed to be made when they requested their expenses for this year. And so that's where we're at. Everything costs more, just plain and simple. Everything's costing more. Repairs, purchases, if you can get the purchases. So I haven't waited a lot, but overall, $18,966 is where we'll be in our budget for this upcoming year, just shy of 19 million. So. Transfer to debt service reduced a little bit. That's a good sign, in my opinion. Transfer to street fund, that's a little bit disappointing. That's what we transfer in our gas tax. From the general fund to the street fund, still continues to baffle me that that it's not doing a little bit better. But just a small decrease in this upcoming budget of about 20,000. And as you can see, once again, our focus on the public safety is our main focus. That's the big chunk of the pie. These are services coming second there, and so that's primarily where we're focused. So then, if you take a look at it, our revenues, $18,966,500. As far as revenue, total expenditures, $18,966,500, and that gives us a balanced budget. So that's where we want to be, in a balanced budget. Reserves, not really expecting anything, as far as Fund 10. Matter of fact, that's decreased a little bit from where we sit right now. Because everybody knows we've got a tennis court that we're building, and so big chunk of that's going to be used to help that, and that's what we estimate as far as what will be left after we use that designated money that we got from Miss Jackie in order to pay for the tennis courts. All right, on the special revenue funds. Special revenue funds, estimated revenues, total, all combined. See where we're at there. Transfers in, that includes everything that we get, pay for debt service, and transfers, from the gas tax, 1.7 million years, a total 5.6, it's just $400,000 less than where we're at this year. It's not a bad thing. It's just what it is, as far as our special revenue funds. And then on the expenses, same there, 5.6. Not a whole lot of changes, except for kind of where we're at as far as our estimated fund balance. As Specifically, street fund, not a lot of change there, a little bit of an increase. 110, 112, about a $2,000 increase. So, but still, like I said, still kind of continues to baffle me as far as what, why it hadn't increased more, especially with the gas stations that we have with Love's and everything. Love's has kind of been a surprise. Their numbers have actually dropped since we finished paying out the reimbursement that we agreed on. And so the expenditures, street repair, we have budgeted $517,000 for next year, which is about an $81,000 increase. It kind of fluctuates based on what we can do. Have a little bit in, an extra there in the street fund to be able to cover any losses there. And then Fund 3, which is also a gas tax fund, it's pretty flat. And like a lot of the other things, it's pretty flat. So no increases, no decreases. Expenditures the same. We have $61,200 designated budgeted for street repair and maintenance coming out of the 4-cent gas tax fund 3. And gas tax also, 10-cent gas tax. Continues to do a little bit better. We have estimated about a $5,000 increase. And so then therefore, we also have about increase in expenditures to match that also. This was the Rebuild Alabama Act, and you'll see coming up in our city council meeting, we have a transportation plan that we have to get done. And so that's a resolution that we have to put in place. And those are just $65,000 for contracted street repair, $65,000 for street repair and maintenance. Needed in order to be able to make sure we keep the streets up. So then debt service fund, a little bit of an increase there in revenue, not having to require as much, so a little bit $2,000 difference there. And then the expenditure side of that, broken out into principal and interest. You can see what we'll have there as far as Fund 24. Everything goes into Fund 24 in order to pay for our outstanding loans, lease agreements. And then we have the bond maturity schedule. Just kind of been interested in to take a look at as far as some people having questions how quickly the bonds are paying out. This is specific one is 2014, which is set to pay out in 2034. And then 2016, which is the street bond, if you remember, was taken out to do a big whole bunch of lost streets, and it's set to pay out in 2031. And then lastly, the best, we're going to be paying off a bond here shortly. February of 2026, this bond will be paid out completely. So that also has an effect on, not a huge effect, because the payments for this bond will actually go up in this fiscal year. So that does offset it just a little bit. So as far as the total amount that we're actually having to pay out. So, and then all bonds combined, you can see total as far as where we're at. At the end of the September of 2025, we'll be at $5.6 million. At the end of 2026 in September, we'll still be about $5.4 million in bonds outstanding. And then as I already mentioned, this is where we will cover capital outlay equipment, purchases and improvements. We do have some financing projects that are in the budget that we have going on, $75,000 for the street sweeper, $76,000 for the garbage truck, and $35,000 in the year for the 2 years out there. But then, as mentioned earlier, we do not have any availability based on expenses for any capital outlay purchases in this next fiscal year. Our enterprise funds continue to do real well. Across the street, still 125, 196, so we haven't had anybody leave us this year. And so we'll still continue to have those leases in place. So then you can see operating expenses and appreciation as far as what we anticipate for this upcoming year. Hopefully it won't be as much, and we can bank a little bit and improve the balance sheet there. So EMS continues to do real well. It's very, very difficult, as Jason said, trying to determine what kind of budget we're going to have because of the complexities of the medical industry and how we can be able to collect on these runs that they are continuously doing. So we're trying to do the best we can. We are anticipating a little bit of a decrease, about 300,000 in total. So I said 150 of that makes up the capital outlay. But we are not going to have available unless we have another increase or it comes out of the reserve. I mean, we do have reserves. You can see at the bottom, 25, 26 preliminary budget, beginning net assets is just a little bit more than $1 million. So, yes, ma'am.
What's accounting for the other 150 of the decrease?
So this is just the reduction in what we have anticipated through this year as far as collections, primarily Medicare and Medicaid collections. Yes. So that's going to be the biggest number there. So, insurance, that continues to hit good numbers, but it's all collections on Medicare and Medicaid. So then back to the first slides, as far as what we looked at, all things put together, total revenue, our total budget combined, a little bit more than 36 million. And then our expenditures, a little bit more than 36 million. Like I said, not a lot of fluff and stuff there. It's pretty plain Jane. Quite simple. Revenues are flat, expenses are up, and that's where we sit. Y'all have any questions? I know I ran through it pretty quick. It's not.
The cuts in the leisure services and public safety, what's up with those cuts there?
You talking about for the overall, or you talking about?
Right here.
Yeah.
Top right there.
It's just adjustments. Some of it was depending on, what was expensed in the previous budget, because it's a compared budget, so it's not a comparison of actual numbers. I'd have to go back and look to see what the decrease was. But I'll be glad to get those numbers for you.
I mean, those are two of the probably most important, things here in the city.
Well, some of it is just by nature as far as what happens. Like public safety, 19,000, and then leisure services 33,000. I don't have the exact numbers as far as what it was, but like for those of you who don't know, we're not going to have the animal control coverage for Fort Rucker anymore. They decided to go somewhere else, so therefore there was a decrease there that we would have in expenses. Leisure services, some of that was probably, we reduced the electricity out at the Civic Center because of the new improvements that were made to help, offset the expense that was used to, pay for the improvements on the air conditioning units. So therefore the electricity, is not as much. Like I said, it just kind of depends on, exactly what the situation was.
And so we don't have any capital outlays for any more equipment for public works, but we are getting a new trash truck or a garbage truck.
We just got one.
We just got it.
And guess what? It's already in the shop, so.
That's a testimony to the industry.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, we just paid $245,000, right, for the run, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
For the new garbage truck. So that was.
But is it under
Trash
warranty?
trucks.
Is it under warranty?
Oh, yeah, we're not.
But that just, like you said, it's just testimony to the quality.
The quality that we're getting out of the manufacturer.
You can find
Trash.
Is the fire truck here yet?
fire truck is not here yet.
Okay, so what happens if it doesn't get here before the end of the fiscal year? Or do we have to pay for it now anyway?
But it's set in reserve.
Okay, so it won't matter when it gets here.
Yeah. I mean, it affects budget because it's not, it's not really one of those budgeted items, but it is because we have it in reserve. And we've had it in reserve for 3 years now. And so, yeah, it's just.
We're just not putting it in the budget.
Hopefully by September 30th, but.
We asked the guy up at the conference, said, can we just take this one?
Same thing with the tennis courts, we've been rolling it.
Yeah, that's right. Same way with tennis courts. We try to set it aside and build up on it in order to, have it available to spend when it actually comes due.
Any other questions for us?
We need an updated copy of all this.
We have it digitally.
Well,
You can know it.
I just like a hard copy.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get you. I'll have them.
Does anyone else want a hard copy?
I'll
Would you like a hard copy?
You will.
I don't get a hard
You
copy.
don't need one?
He sent it to us.
Yes.
I like them.
So these two would like a hard copy?
Okay, just 2 copies? 2 hard copies? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, Chris,
Yes, sir.